Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Power of Sourcing 2024, our sourcing webinar series. And we are thrilled to have you again for another insightful session. Over the course of 10 Thursdays, we're uncovering cutting edge strategies around sourcing. And today, I'm particularly excited to introduce our next speaker, Mike Wolford, the Vice President of AI and Analytics at Claro. And I've already got a little bit of a sneak peek, and it's going to be a good keynote. But before I welcome Mike on stage, let me tell you a little bit more about what we do with Matcher. Because at Matcher, we provide embedded talent consultancy services to startups, scale-ups, and corporates, whereby our sourcers and recruiters work fully embedded into our clients' teams, giving them the flexibility to scale up and scale down based on their business needs, to get support in geographies where they don't have any presence yet, or when they miss certain capabilities in their team, like sourcing. Companies pay a fixed fee per resource per month, and they can scale up and scale down based on their business needs. That's why we work for companies like TikTok, Booking, Strike, Revolut, and our sponsor, Deal. So if you're in any hiring need or could use any advice or support, please let us know because we would love to get in touch with you. Now, let me welcome Mike on stage. Mike, welcome to the webinar series. Hey, Mike, good to have you. Mike, before we get into the nitty-gritty around AI and talent acquisition, if you could choose one superpower to enhance your sourcing capabilities, what would it be and why?
So for a sourcer, this might be an unusual question or answer, but I was also a recruiter, so maybe that's a little biased there too. But I would actually automate as much as possible so that I had time to actually talk to my candidates and prep them and work with my hiring managers and educate them. That would be my superpower.
Wow. Do you see that that's a big still issue or like time or like that's something that often like breaks down the candidate
Consistently.
process? Yeah.
I think one thing we've gotten away from as a profession is preparing our candidates for interview. It's not a pop quiz, it's supposed to be a test of knowledge.
Yeah.
And we also, a lot of times we spend validating our own assumptions because we don't have data. So an example of that would be you go into a meeting, your hiring partner says, hey, we need XYZ. And you say, well, the market for that is 120K. And they say, well, we had Mike. Mike's been here for 3 years. Mike's making 100. Can you go try and find me another Mike first? And then you just burned 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, it's my passion in sourcing isn't just about finding the candidates, but also making the work matter. And so, the other thing I think sourcers need to learn as a superpower, if they were picking a superpower, is how to be data driven and how to understand data and bring it to the table, because it's a missing piece of our industry. We can find anybody's email address, but information about unemployment or salary information we consistently lack.
Yeah. Love that. Great answer. All right. Mike, before we dive into the world of AI, I would like to thank our sponsor, Deal, for making this webinar series possible. And before I welcome you back on stage, Mike, let me give a little bit of room for a video explaining what Deal does.
Work's gone global, but until now, no HR platform has been able to handle everything for everyone. Some teams have to use up to 16 different tools to make things work. Deal's the future of global HR, and it's the only platform that works for your team wherever they are, whatever their status. Easily handle international hiring, payroll, and HR with one powerful platform. Hire contractors and employees worldwide, even if you don't own an entity. Once you find a candidate, onboard them with a localized contract and a visa if needed. We even provide powerful salary insights so you can be sure your offer's competitive, and we'll automatically collect any necessary compliance documents. Get your team set up fast with built-in background checks, equipment, WeWork passes, and effortless app access. Then manage the entire worker lifecycle through one central HR platform designed with global teams in mind. Plus, handle time off, promotions, and bonuses all in a few clicks. Deal integrates with any tool to help keep your data and workflows synced. You'll get a first-of-its-kind worldview of your entire team's headcount, payroll, and productivity in one place. On payday, consolidate payroll for contractors, international, and local employees. We'll take care of the contractor invoicing, plus employee taxes, benefits, pay slips, and more. Deal has everything you need to run a global team efficiently, and it's the only platform built for everyone and everything, everywhere. Learn how Deal can simplify your global team needs at Deal.com.
All right. Yes, thank you so much, Deal. Now, for everyone that's watching live, please ask your questions in the chat, because we will gather all of your questions and ask them at the end to Mike. Share in the chat, where are you from and what do you do? So I love it that Wesley and Carrie and Preston immediately said hello. So don't be a stranger and say hello to everyone in the chat. Now, Mike, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Great. Then, Mike, the floor is yours. Looking forward.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me, guys. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Mike Wolford. I'm the Vice President of Analytics and AI at Claro Analytics. My background, I came from recruiting. I was an agency recruiter. I've been a recruiter, sourcer, recruiting manager before I came to Claro. You can see there in my second picture where I was the sourcing manager for the platform at Twitter. So I'm a recovering sourcer myself. The first slide there in the picture is a little bit of my bio and some mid-journey. I took 2 of my photos and combined them. Before we get started today, I do want to address those of you who think maybe this is a fad, or maybe, things are going to blow over. It's not that much or that interesting. I want to give you a little fact to start with. About AI, if you take everything in human history that was ever written from 2022 back to the very first thing that was ever written, if you take that entire content of writing, more was written in 2023 than in all of that combined. So in all of human history up until 2022, if you take all that writing and you compare it against the writing that was done in 2023, or the content that was created in 2023, 2023 has not only more content created in it than all of human history combined previously, it's over 20 times as much. So that is what I want you to get your head around. There is now 20 times the content than there was in 2022. And as a matter of fact, by now it's probably even more, because we're several months into 2024 and adoption is spreading. So this is not a fad. This is a tsunami. And we need to get our heads around it as an industry and begin to adapt. We can move to the next slide, please. Today, we're going to be talking about a number of things in order. The very first thing I want to talk about is, what do we mean when we say AI, and what is it really? I'm going to actually have somebody else explain that to you, an expert in AI. Then I'm going to talk about some of the use cases and how we can use it. I'm going to share how I'm using it and what I've done with it. And then we're going to talk about ethics and legal compliance, because that's an important part of the conversation as well. Next slide, please. For those of you who aren't familiar with me, I've been a writer for both SourceCon and Recruiting Daily. I've been with Recruiting Daily for the last 8 years. I approached this topic like a reporter might, and I'm trying to get you the who, what, where, why, and how of AI. And I'm going to try and be objective. I'm not trying to hype it up. I'm not trying to downplay it. What I am trying to do is educate on what we're really dealing with and how do we actually use it, and what are the things we should be thinking about as we do. Next slide, please. So topic 1, who is GPT? Next slide, please. If you could just play that video, that would be great. If the link doesn't work, no, go back. Okay, the hello videos doesn't work. What I was having here, and we'll get to another automated slide here, is GPT-4 saying hello to all of you and introducing itself. The video doesn't seem to be loading, so we'll skip to the next one. Yep. And we're going to talk about who GPT-4 is in the terms of technically who it is. So if we could we have this slide, we could queue up the video. This is Dr. Alan Thompson. I'm going to have him explain what large language models and AI really are. He's a Harvard certified coach. He was the former head of Mensa International. So he would work with child prodigies, people who could read at 1, people who could do advanced math at 3 or 4, right? This was his area of expertise, is intelligence and extreme intelligence in humans. For the last 3 years, he's been focused on doing research in artificial intelligence. He's published a lot of articles. The Memo is his blog, and it has the memo.ai, has a lot of good information for those of you who are interested in the topic in general and want to understand what's happening big picture, not just focused in our industry. So he's going to take this can and he's going to fill it with little Jello crystals of different types of data. And so he's going to explain to you how these things are built and how you get them together and how they work together to operate. So if we could please go to the video next. And please hit play. Is the video playing? I'm not seeing it. So are we able to get the video to play?
Mike, please click it on your end.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so like this? Okay.
Things that are a little bit different to the entire internet. It's been upvoted, it's been can. And to demonstrate this, I'm going to use what we call in Australia jelly. In fact, if you're an Australian, you'll remember this ad. I like aeroplane jelly. That's enough of that. If you're American, you'll call it Jello. But jelly crystals are finer than sand, and I think they're going to be really useful for us to demonstrate really big data. So one jelly crystal might be the size of an entire web page or even an entire book and show us what could be possible through giving a lot of data to a really big model. So let's use aeroplane jelly. I've got some blue crystals here, aeroplane jelly. Blue, I think we'll use as the internet or the web data. So let's give that one a bit of a label. This is going to symbolize the entire internet, web pages. Every jelly crystal here is a web. We're going to actually need 6 parts of this to demonstrate how much web we put into training a model. Let's try a different one. What about popular web? So for example, if you go on Facebook or if you go on Twitter or if you go on TikTok, you're probably going to be referred to things that are a little bit different to the entire internet. It's been upvoted, it's been popularized, it's been ranked by human beings. Let's use Reddit ratings for that one. This is orange Jello. Let's call this one popular. And it's going to be about 2 parts versus 6 parts of full web data. The popular web data is going to be fed in to this model as well. Then let's grab a whole bunch of books, not just the fiction books from your library, but also massive academic publications. Let's grab every research paper that we can find and put it in this training data as well. So we'll use a purple box of Jello for this one. This is going to be books, and this is going to show us everything from scientific literature to choose your own adventure to Enid Blyton to Agatha Christie. Let's lump it all in here. And the last one, despite what your teacher may tell you, Wikipedia is actually a very good source of information. It's been edited by thousands and thousands of human beings that know what they're doing. Any error is shut down immediately. It's actually quite factual. Let's use a green one here for Wikipedia, this is green jello crystals, and that'll give us a smaller part. We'll just use one part of Wiki. This will show us some of the factual content. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of data, and we're going to put them in different ratios. Let's pour them into the jar now. Our 6 parts of web might be 100 million web pages, just general websites. Our popular websites might be 8 million web pages that have been upvoted by humans. Our books and papers are millions of books and millions of university papers. And our Wikipedia content is about 6 million web pages. Here's our final product. 6 parts web, 2 parts popular web, 2 parts books, and at the very top there, 1 part of Wikipedia. And different labs are using different weightings for this training data, but let's take this as our entire training data for our AI. The next step is to feed this into the Google Transformer that we just spoke about, the magic black box program that can take words, make connections between them by looking forward and backward in the words, and then come out with what some people are just calling magic or miraculous. Let's see how close we can go to explaining that. And let's put the whole thing in a magic black box, because we don't actually know, and the researchers, the scientists, don't know what happens. They take the training data, they put it in this magic black box, and they train it for 288 years worth of computing. Isn't that absurd? So a model trained in California took 288 years of computation to come out with a result. One thing we can do, though, is run it on more.
All right. So, I guess I should stop sharing. That is what we're talking about from a technical perspective. We're talking about AI that is able to map the connection between large sets of data and words. And effectively, what it was designed to do originally is just predict the most likely next word in a sentence. This is why it's sometimes hard to get it to write a specific number of words, because it doesn't know from the very beginning how many words it's going to take to complete the sentence or the paragraph or the writing, because it is simply predicting the next word. I'm sure that there's going to be questions about that, but let's move to the next slide. Topic 2. So now we kind of understand a little bit about what AI is. We need to dive into the so what. What can it do for you? Excuse me. Can we move to the next slide, please? First of all, it can write. So I've been writing, like I mentioned, for a number of years. I've written a couple of books before the AI Recruiter. On average, it took me about a year to write a book. It takes me about 1 week to 1 month to write an article, because I have ADD and I have to keep coming back to it. AI writes so fast that it allows me to write in the window of my attention span with ADD. I was able to get from blank page to print copy in just about 2 weeks. Now, I had an advantage. I've been a recruiter for a minute. I know what a good resume should look like. I know what a job description should look like. So this is where we are in the AI adoption phase. We are in expert empowerment. It has 9 chapters, includes a prompt cheat sheet. So in the very beginning is a prompt cheat sheet for recruiters and sourcers. Inside the book itself are all the prompts that I use to create the content. So in theory, you could buy the book, copy paste my prompts into GPT, and come up with another copy of the book. So I wanted it to be transparent. I wanted it to be copy paste. I wanted it to be simple so that people could understand how to actually use the tool in order to get things done. So that's one thing it can do. The next thing, please, next slide. It can do tasks for you. Sourcing outreach. This is an important one to me, near and dear to my heart. Please, as an old sourcer, I'm begging you, don't automate your spam. Don't just hit the button. Don't just say, write me an outreach email. It's going to say, I hope this email finds you well. Even the ones that are automated, embedded in tools, they're not programmed to a level yet where they're going to be able to write well. And that's not going to help you. So what I'd like to do is issue the challenge to you who are listening as sourcers. Use this as a chance to elevate, don't just automate, right? For example, I know nothing about coding, but I can have the AI write Python code and an Easter egg into my email app to a Python developer. You can make it rhyme. You could put it in the voice of Yoda. You can make it like a country song or a limerick. Your options are limitless. Add emojis, right? Make the tone friendly, make it lighthearted. There are a lot of options now. Use this as a way to use this as a creativity tool and not as an automation tool solely. Market analytics, this is another one as a sourcer that's near and dear to my heart. I think most sourcers are incredibly technically competent people. They can find email addresses, they can navigate the dark web, they know every tool and every trick, and they can look under the rocks, and that's great. I've been there, I like it. But one of the missing pieces we have as an industry is we are not data driven enough, and we do not bring enough data to the table. And this is particularly true of sourcers. And now you have the ability to do market analytics. I work at Claro. If you want our data, we'd be happy to sell it to you. And I'm going to show you some of the work I'm doing in AI after we go through this basic presentation. Why I get to be called the VP of AI, but this particularly was of importance to me, and we've built a tool here at Claro that does this for you, that does market analytics. Again, I believe this is really important for our profession. We need to stop going into an intake meeting, telling the hiring partner that the salary is 120, having them say, hey, we've had Mike here for 5 years. Mike's making 100. Can you go find me another Mike, please? No, that's not how this works. We need to be bringing data. We need to say, here's what the competition's paying. Here's how many jobs they have open. And this is how many candidates on average are available for every job. Here's unemployment. This is the type of information we need to have on hand. A lot of us in this industry, we gain trust from our clients by delivering results. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's great. You guys are competent. I love it. But there's a better way. And you can earn trust earlier in the process with good data. It's something as an industry we have lacked for a long time. And now with AI, we can make this something that we can handle. So just put in, hey, I'm about to meet with my team. I need to come up with a plan. So, okay. On the next, job descriptions. I don't know who here loves, raise your hand if you love writing job descriptions. No? Okay, so this is another task that can be automated. And again, the GPT-4 in the US here has passed the bar at 90%. I'm not saying take legal advice from it, but I would ask your lawyer what percentage they pass the bar at and act accordingly maybe. But I'm just saying you can check it for EEOC, you could check it for language and tone and say, hey, is this, is this language neutral? Is it gender neutral? And evaluate it. Is it legally compliant? Things of this nature. So it doesn't just write the job description. It also can check it for compliance. Okay, next slide. What will AI do for us? So this is, I didn't actually believe this kind of stuff when I first started seeing it, but I've seen it enough times and I've had it explained to me enough times that now I'm starting to come around to the growth that we're about to experience economically. I'll give you an example outside of our field that maybe will help illustrate this. As most people know, autonomous cars, especially autonomous trucks, are in our very near future. Those are basically robots that are controlled by an AI and they're hooked to a battery. That combination of trucks that drive themselves, that have large battery capacity, that are hooked up to a smart grid and powered by an AI, is going to revolutionize the power grid, right? Because as we generate energy, you need a place to store it. You're going to have millions of cars on chargers with batteries that can store battery energy when needed in low demand times and then have the energy pulled in high demand times. So if you own a car in that system, what will happen is you'll charge your battery on low cost hours, and your battery, if you set up to participate, will discharge and sell that energy back to the grid. And you'll actually probably make a little bit of a profit on that. You'll make a little bit of a profit on that, but the system as a whole will make enormous amounts of money off of that. When you think about scaling that to 1 billion people, or 8 billion people, there's billions of cars, right? So this is just one example of the impact that this technology is going to have. It's in and of itself not the thing that will make the change, but when it's combined with robotics, when it's combined with medicine, when it's combined with automated processes, then it becomes incredibly powerful. And this is why what's happening is happening. Our entire economy is being disrupted at once. And as an analyst, I will tell you, if you want to understand how much and how bad it's going to be per industry, there's really two things you need to look at. And this is stuff that we've known for a long, long time. An industry's disruption and the ability for any technology, including AI, to come in and make a change is limited and infected by two main factors. Number one, what is the cost? Is the cost per service, per hire, per whatever reasonable or high? If it's high, then that's one indicator of an industry that's ready to be disrupted. The second thing is satisfaction. So for example, car insurance, maybe the premiums are high, but most people are 98, 99% satisfied. So that industry is not really that ripe for disruption. However, healthcare in the United States, the average cost per person is the highest in the world, and the average satisfaction is about 20%. It wouldn't really matter if it was AI or another technology. That's an industry that's ready to be disrupted. And so if you want to look at big picture and understand what's going to happen, not only in our industry, but you want to understand what's going to happen in the economy, which is in our best interest to understand as the people who hire people, then this is what I would be looking for as you evaluate what industry you sit in, what industry you recruit in, and say, hey, how disrupted are we going to be? If the answer is we have high pay or high cost and low satisfaction, get ready. If it's low cost, high satisfaction, very little is going to change. Next slide, please. Where is this coming? So I want to talk about this on two levels. I want to talk about it strategically, and I want to talk about it tactically. So next slide, please. This is where we're talking about it tactically. So workforce planning is going to finally become a thing because we can finally do it in a reasonable amount of time. And what this will look like is companies are going to start looking at their HRIS and ATS systems, and they're going to start looking at their hiring patterns and their attrition finally. And they're going to be able to do an analysis, because one thing AI is great at is summarizing vast amounts of data and making conclusions and suggestions based on that data. And this is something that is very hard for humans to do with that kind of data at this volume and anything that resembles speed. But AI is really good about this. And the one thing that AI does have an advantage in is if you're just asking it a question, it can hallucinate. But if you're asking it about something specifically and you're providing the data, it will stick to what you provided it 99,000 times out of a 900, it's a very high likelihood, over 99% chance that it's actually going to do exactly that and not add anything. So to me, that's a relatively low risk activity. We're going to start seeing marketing. Obviously, AI is going to take over marketing in general, but specifically, this is going to be a dynamic area because all of this content generation is going to hit marketing. And it's going to be a real challenge for the marketers to come up with compelling messaging. But that's what we'll be spending our time doing. It won't be actually creating the messaging or the brochures or the talk points. It'll actually be deciding what that should be and how to get that to stand out. Because again, like I mentioned earlier, you're up against about 20 times more content than existed even 2 years ago. Diversity and inclusion. I love this part of it. I think the thing I'm most excited about is the automated phone screens. They're very basic and they're simple and they're not as good as a person, but honestly, they don't need to be. In our industry, we have the candidate black hole. People apply for a job and they never hear back, and that's not entirely our fault. 500 people apply to your job and you have 15 jobs to cover. Human being can't read that many resumes and get back to that many people. But the phone screeners and the AI systems will be able to interview anybody who applies. And so anybody who wants a chance will get one. And what I see the systems doing at this point is they're taking the resume and the job description and they're doing a percent match. And then they'll take the information that they got from the phone screen and add that to it and then come up with a percent match. To me, that's safer than ranking. But the nice thing about it is when candidate 124 applies and they're a 93% match, they didn't get buried in the pile. The other thing is it will ask the same questions in the same order with the same tone of voice, right? It's not going to be perfect, but it's a lot closer to fair than we are today. And to me, eliminating the candidate black hole is one of the things that as an industry, we bear as an albatross around our necks, right? They blame us for this problem. They don't understand why we can't get to them. And to me, this is really exciting to be able to try and solve this as an industry. Screening is going to become a whole other can of worms right now. And this is something as sourcers, we really need to put thought around. It is incredibly easy to get AI to listen to the conversation and then give you answers to questions. So if you were to interview me for a Python developer and I had OpenAI or any AI open on another screen or even in front of me, I could get good answers without knowing anything. And what's truly crazy is I'm a recruiter at heart and I've already learned how to get the AI to write code for me. So we are in a new phase of screening, and this is something that we're going to really have to figure out. How do we validate skills? How do we conduct a phone screen? Are they valid anymore? And also, what do we think about people using AI during the interview? At the end of the day, if I could code and I could get the computer to code for me and I can write production code using the AI, does it really matter? Right? These are questions that we need to ask. And this is something that's an open question to us as an industry. But I want you guys to know right now that candidates have this ability and there's no way they're not using it. Streamlining the recruitment process is going to be something that happens. We're going to see a lot of automation around scheduling, offer approvals, things of this nature are going to get automated relatively quickly. Next slide, please. So what does that look like for us in our day-to-day work? Some examples of how that's actually going to change our day-to-day work. First is sourcing. The AI is going to write our outreach. Let's just be honest. People on the phone are doing one of two things. They're taking a lot of time to write custom messages to a few people, or they're writing one message and they're spamming it out to everybody. I know I was guilty of it too. I'm sorry. But let's get away from that. But this is number one day to day. If you're still writing your outreach emails, it's going too slow. That's the problem. If you look at software engineers using Copilot, they're 55% faster when they're using Copilot. If a recruiter who has AI is 20% faster than a recruiter who doesn't, over the course of a month, a week, it's going to make a difference. You can't be that fast. And this is the thing that we have to get our heads around is we are not fast enough to do this work. And we need to get on board and start to get to work about it. Recruiting, of course, AI generated interview questions. This is going to be incredibly challenging. AI produced markets and analytics. Again, this is something that's really important. We need the data. We do not want to be guessing. We want to be educating. Coordinators, AI scheduling assistants are definitely coming. Some of them are already here. And then process offer automation. We're going to get the thing that I find interesting, like for example, in GDPR, already you cannot reject a candidate for a job with an AI. That law already exists, and I expect us to have laws like that in North America and the US soon. What I have not seen is anybody automate yes. So there's no rule against automating yes. And this is what I think is going to happen. More and more of the time, if you're a good match and the system thinks you're a good match, there'll be a threshold. You'll automatically move to the next position, and there will be a point. As a matter of fact, there's a point today where it is possible for you to go through the entire interview process and get an offer without actually having talked to a recruiter. That is in the future and in the near future. So what we need to be focused on is learning how to run the machine, and how to get it to do these things, because these tasks are about to be taken out of our hand for manual labor. Next slide, please. Why? We have to think about what it is you want to accomplish and why you want to accomplish it when you're using these tools. Next slide, please. This is, an HR talent acquisition why of AI ideal here. So what we can do is, for example, section 1, it's looking at the title. Section 2, it's looking at the legal and ethical challenges. The next section, this is all written by the AI, by the way, and the AI is saying, here are the regulations covering AI use in hiring. And actually, you can get the AI to write the policy itself. For me, right, we've had our Jurassic Park moment here. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And this is something that we definitely need to keep track of. We need to talk about practical tips for compliance and why are we doing this? What is it that we're hoping to accomplish? Do we want to get faster? Do we want to be compliant? What is the goal here? I think in this particular area, we need to be very, very specific. And this is something that our legal departments need to weigh in on, and our regulatory compliance groups, because we need a policy on the use of AI. So if you don't have one, this is a good chance for you to step up and say, hey, we really need a policy. We need a use case policy to make sure that we are ethically and legally complying with all of our responsibilities. And to me, this is obviously very important. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we're going to do a little fun experiment here. I'm going to have the AI write a script between two people who never really ever got a chance to talk to themselves about the ethics, the ethical use of AI in talent acquisition. And so we have Alan Turing in seat number 1. Alan Turing is the father of computer science and created the term artificial intelligence. Next to him is Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. And the two of them are going to have a conversation about the ethical use of artificial intelligence in talent acquisition. So if you were seeing all those writers protest, maybe after this you'll understand why. So I'm going to present my screen. Share screen. Oh, sorry. Present slides. Nope, let's go back. I guess I'll just share screen. And we'll look here. Share there. Okay.
Imagine a unique gathering where two brilliant minds from different eras come.
Can you view this? Okay. Yep. Can you guys see me?
Together to discuss the future of artificial intelligence.
Everything good? Can you guys see the video? Hello? Are you guys able to watch my video? I just want to make sure everybody can see. All right, we're just going to go with
A
it.
Zoom call through time, if you will. In one chair, we have Alan Turing, a groundbreaking mathematician and computer scientist who is often regarded as the father of modern computing and artificial intelligence. His work during World War II, when he successfully decrypted the German Enigma code, played a critical role in turning the tide of the war. Turing's early ideas and research laid the foundation for the development of computer science and the machines that would eventually transform our world. In the other chair, we have Sam Altman, a visionary entrepreneur and technology leader who has been at the forefront of AI's recent advancements. As the former president of the startup accelerator Y Combinator and the current CEO of OpenAI, Altman has been instrumental in shaping the AI landscape and nurturing the next generation of AI-driven innovations. His leadership and commitment to ethical AI development have played a significant role in guiding the industry towards responsible and inclusive growth. Both men share a deep understanding of the potential and challenges that AI brings to the table. As pioneers in their respective eras, they have both experienced firsthand the transformative power of technology and the ethical dilemmas it can generate. Their unique perspectives make this conversation about the ethical use of AI in recruitment not only fascinating but highly relevant to our rapidly evolving world. As we listen to this thought-provoking dialogue between Alan Turing and Sam Altman, we are given a rare glimpse into the minds of two exceptional individuals, united by their passion for technology and their desire to shape a better future for humanity. Their conversation will explore the challenges and opportunities of AI-powered recruitment, with a particular focus on ensuring fairness and eliminating bias in the hiring process.
Sam, it's a pleasure to meet you. I've heard so much about your passion for AI and your early days as a computer enthusiast, tinkering with old machines in your garage. It's fascinating to see how far artificial intelligence has come since my time. During my own career, I often pondered the ethical implications of the technology we were creating. The world today is vastly different from the one I lived in, and I'm curious to hear how you grapple with the challenges of AI in recruitment.
It's an honor to meet you too, Alan. Your work laid the foundation for everything we've achieved in AI today. As a young entrepreneur, I've always admired your tenacity and pioneering spirit. But as you know, with great power comes great responsibility. In the field of AI-driven recruitment, we recognize that there is a delicate balance between leveraging the immense potential of AI and ensuring that its use remains ethical and fair. We are committed to addressing these concerns head-on and continuously refining our approach to ensure the best possible outcomes.
Indeed, and one of the most pressing concerns is the ethical use of AI in recruitment. How do you ensure fairness and avoid bias when using AI to evaluate candidates, especially given your own experience of being both an employer and an employee? What measures have you put in place to prevent discrimination and uphold the highest ethical standards?
That's a great question, Al. To start, we work diligently to identify and eliminate sources of bias in the algorithms and data used for recruitment. We constantly monitor and update our models to improve their performance and ensure they don't discriminate against any specific group. Additionally, we invest in ongoing research and development to uncover new techniques for reducing bias in AI systems. One such technique is the use of adversarial training, wherein we introduce counterexamples to the AI system during the learning process to help it better recognize and counteract potential biases.
I see. But even with the best intentions, there's a possibility that unconscious biases might still find their way into the system. How do you guard against that, considering your own diverse background and experiences? What steps have you taken to ensure that the AI development process is as inclusive and diverse as possible?
You're right, Alan. To address that, we actively promote diversity and inclusion in our development teams, so that a wide range of perspectives and backgrounds are represented. This helps to reduce the chance of biases creeping into the AI systems. We also encourage open dialogue and collaboration between team members, fostering an environment where potential biases can be identified and addressed early on. Furthermore, we engage with external experts and community groups to ensure that our AI systems are designed and tested with a broader societal context in mind.
That's a commendable approach. Another concern I have is transparency. How can candidates trust that the AI's decisions are fair and not just a black box that arbitrarily decides their fate? In my time, we faced similar issues with cryptography, where the process was often opaque and difficult to understand. How do you balance the need for effective AI algorithms with the desire for transparency and explainability?
Transparency is indeed crucial. We strive to make our AI systems as explainable as possible so that candidates can understand how decisions are made. We work on developing algorithms that can provide clear explanations for their decisions, which helps to build trust and confidence in the recruitment process. In addition, we provide channels for candidates to voice their concerns and ask questions about the AI-driven recruitment process. We believe that fostering an open and transparent environment is essential for the ethical use of AI in recruitment.
I'm glad to hear that. It seems that the ethical use of AI in recruitment is a complex, ongoing challenge. But with people like you leading the charge, I'm optimistic about the future. Your dedication to ethical AI development is truly inspiring, and I believe that with continued efforts in research, collaboration, and transparency, we can make significant progress in addressing these challenges. As a pioneer in the field of computing, I've seen firsthand how innovation can transform society. However, it is essential that we remain vigilant and proactive in addressing the ethical implications of AI. We must always remember that technology should serve humanity and not the other way around. In conclusion, my advice to the future generations of AI researchers and developers is to stay grounded in the principles of fairness, accountability, and transparency. Never lose sight of the human element in the development and deployment of AI systems. Engage in open and honest dialogue with stakeholders, including the public, to ensure that their concerns are heard and addressed. Furthermore, I encourage the pursuit of interdisciplinary collaboration, bringing together experts from various fields such as computer science, social sciences, ethics, and law. This will help to create a more comprehensive understanding of the potential impact of AI on society and better inform the development of ethical AI systems. Finally, I would urge future AI developers to be adaptable and receptive to new ideas and perspectives. As technology evolves, so too will the ethical considerations surrounding its use. It is important to be prepared to learn and adapt as we continue to explore the uncharted territory of AI and its potential to shape our world. In the words of the great philosopher, Immanuel Kant, treat people as an end and never as a means to an end. Let this be the guiding principle for the ethical development and application of AI in talent acquisition and beyond.
Perfect. Sorry. Let's go back to presentation here. So let's move to the next slide. That was a great example of why people are kind of protesting AI. It wrote that after one prompt. I asked it to write a scene where Alan Turing and Sam Altman have a discussion on a Zoom call through time about the ethical use of AI, and that was the product. So, something to think about while we're looking for answers is also the AI can help us, with a balance in its ethical use. Number 5, next please, how to use AI. I'm actually going to skip out for a second and come back here and show you why I get to be the VP of AI, because one of the things we're going to talk about here is analytics and how to get it to use AI to use this. So you could do what I'm about to do in an automated fashion. It's capable of doing manually. In full disclosure, in this particular example, I'm using Claro data to come up with the answers that I'm giving you here. But I do want to show you what is possible with AI and how quickly it can produce things. So I'm going to show you what I've been working on. These are reports, and it's incredibly straightforward. I can look for all I need, let's just say critical care nurse, and then in Washington, D.C. area. And now I hit report, and in minutes, not hours, days, or weeks, I'm going to get a report here that summarizes the labor market. Now, for me, this was a passion project because, as I mentioned earlier, I feel like our industry is not data-driven enough. And we need to start to earn trust when we are sharing data and not and have our delivery of candidates be a reinforcement of that trust and not a building of it. And so as you can see right here, very quickly, the thing I want you guys to learn about AI and why you need to learn about it is it's fast. It is much, 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 much faster than you. It's much, much faster than me. It's much, much faster than any of us. And it's only going to continue to get faster. This is the sort of thing I would want to bring into a meeting with a hiring partner or with executives. Again, this is McKinsey, Deloitte style. This would typically take hours, days, and weeks to put together. But with the AI and prompting on the back end and pulling data together, I'm able to put together a very comprehensive report, including prescriptive analytics, right? And it's going to tell you. Now, we've been telling our hiring managers this for forever, but this is, you know, an official report. So sometimes maybe they'll believe it from the AI if they won't believe it from us. There's the table of contents. Here's the hiring trends and compensation. What are the companies who are hiring? How many people are they hiring? What does the compensation over time look like? What is the historical market? What does it look like compared to other markets? Who is your competition? Where are people coming? Where are people going? What is the diversity of this talent pool and how does that stack up against the country as a whole? What are your largest industries? How about the market? Is this the right skill set? Here are the top skills that we're looking for. And then analysis, supply and demand. So again, all of this was created in moments. And this is what I want you guys to get your head around is if there are recruiters and sourcers who are powered by AI and you are not, I'm not saying that they are moving faster than you, but I'm saying they're capable of moving much, much faster, especially as we get into the next phase of what's going to happen here. And now I'm going to come back. And stop sharing as we get into the next phase of what's going to be happening. Can we get the next slide? So these are some things that you could do. Hopefully they'll make this available so you guys don't have to scroll through all these super quick. But these are how to use AI for these tools. Now, I will tell you the free versions will get things done. I don't know that they'll get things done well. The paid subscription for GPT is $20 a month, $30 for Teams. If your company doesn't have $20 a month for you for resources, it might be time to rethink your employment situation because these are going to be necessary tools for you to compete. Because the people who have them and use them are going to be much, 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 much faster than those who don't. So here's a couple of things that you can do, some sample prompts. Again, I really want to encourage you to use this as an opportunity to be creative. Please don't create, I hope this email finds you well, a million times. Candidate pitches and summaries, not something we love to do. Take the candidate, take your candidate notes, take the resume, take the job, put it into the GPT or put it into your AI and say, I need a candidate pitch for this person based on this job. And one of the things I like to do in the candidate summary and pitch is I actually ask the AI to create a table with the required skills in one column and how my candidate's experience matches up in the next. And that makes it a lot harder for a hiring manager to reject your candidate because when you pitch the candidate to them, you're saying, here's all the required skills and here's how that candidate lines up. And if they line up reasonably well in plain English, it's going to be hard for the hiring manager to reject, or it's going to be more difficult for the hiring manager to reject the candidate in court unless they pull a hiring manager classic, oh, there's a few things I forgot to tell you that are required. That happens. Interview Q&A, we can now create that on our own. Again, this is something that needs to be thought about because we need to think about how to do this. Next, please. Next slide. Same thing, summarizing labor market data. Again, I feel like if you've taken nothing else away from this as a sourcer, it's the desire to be more data driven. You can write your Boolean strings for you. If you don't want to write the 50 largest tech companies, just have it write the 50 largest tech companies and put or in between it for you. Get it to automate as much of your work as you can. Next slide, please. It seems overwhelming and sometimes like you don't know where to start. My ask of you would be to just start by doing, because we are about to get, ask it, why is the sky blue? Or why is the grass really green? These are things that you probably didn't get a great answer for, but it's a place to start. The last thing I want to share, if you guys can see, is what's coming next. And these are GPTs. So instead of having to do all that thought for all of those tasks and think about your tone, your voice, and put all that in each individual time, GPTs allow you to pre-program all of that. So this is my AI recruiter. It is programmed by me with my writing and all of my articles, as well as a copy of my book. And so it has my knowledge base and is basically an AI version of Recruiter Me. These are going to be the next set of tools that we see, and they're going to make life a lot easier because they'll be just point and click and go. Now it's going to take 6 months to a year for us to start to see those as an industry. So in the meantime, you do still need to learn prompt engineering and learn how to do all those things manually. But when they come into their own, you're definitely going to start to see these tools appear. That's it. Next slide is pretty much the end. I'm ready for questions.
Mike, on the clock, we only have a few minutes left. So let me very quickly get to it. So Andy asked the data that you showed, where's the data being drawn from?
So in my example, I work for Claro, and we're indexing data from the internet originally. So that's an original source of data. There are other sources of data out there. You probably have sources of data of your own. But for my example, that came from Claro.
Okay, clear. Hey, and then the candidate experience with AI, right? Like speaking to a bot or like doing it. Do you feel that companies should say, hey, you're going to speak to a bot to clarify? Should you not do it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Disclosure is going to be a law. It needs to be a law. If it isn't
Yeah.
soon, we're going to be in trouble because you're not going to be able to tell who's real. Literally, you're not going to be able to tell in 6 months to a year. So it absolutely is not only a best practice, it's imperative for the survival of our species that when AI is interacting with you, you identify that. Please bring that as a guiding principle to your use policy. If you don't have it, you can expect it to be a law fairly soon.
Wow. Yeah, that's going to be fascinating. So Wesley just asked, what will the competition in the AI world look like? We have multiple brands of AI technology competing, and what will be the difference in these companies? Great question, Wesley.
Yeah, so the big companies are going to be off to the start. Like the economist from JP Morgan, I was watching her TED Talk. She talked about this being a 7 to 8% GDP growth multiplier, with about half of that going to the large established players. So you're looking at Microsoft, Google, these guys. This is really where we start to understand the scope. If you talk about a company that has $1 to $3 trillion in revenue, it's worth $20 to $50 trillion in market value. You're looking at companies that are going to be, we're talking about Microsoft being worth $3 trillion today. That's nothing. Microsoft will be worth $25 trillion in 2 years, 3 years.
Wow, that's a growth rate.
It's incredible. Like maybe not 2, 3 years, but soon.
Yeah.
Incredible. This is the thing about AI. It's fast. It is fast.
Wow. So I know it's not investment advice, but it sounds like, hey, we got to keep an eye on these players. Yeah. Who knows? We're on the clock. Mike, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Mike Wolford at Claro, and you'll see me as the VP of Analytics. That's the easiest way to reach me.
Amazing. Mike, I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And yes, stay tuned for our next one. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us live. If you haven't already, please follow us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and subscribe to our newsletter to stay up to date of the latest information of all the amazing content that we're pushing out. Next Thursday, we're going to have an interesting speaker lined up. We have Julia Collado Martin from Eventbrite that's going to join us, and she will be sharing her expertise around sourcing and maybe give a little sneak peek on how to run a great event, or maybe how to source an Eventbrite. Who knows? So stay tuned for our next edition. Have a great rest of your day, night, or maybe even morning. Thank you for joining.